What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Season 9, Episode 9, Poison in the Honey. Y'all, it is so late. It is so late. But I'm going to get through this. This is my last one for this episode. Let's get into Emily and Kobe. Now, this gave me some comic relief. I thought this episode was hilarious. So, we start off with Emily and Kobe going horseback riding. Nothing much going on there, just to show that after their tumultuous argument, when he told her, shut the F up in the previous episode, that they can come back together again as a united front and they can still, be happy together and still have a good time, even though they go through their ups and downs. Basically, that was the whole point of this little horseback riding scene. So, when they get back from horseback riding, Emily decides to have a conversation with her parents about how is this wedding, this impending wedding, how is this going to be paid for? So she doesn't seem like she's making a lot of money. She's a nanny once in a blue moon. He can't work, so he doesn't have a job. So how is this wedding going to be paid for? So she has a conversation with her parents, and she asks her parents straight up, can you help me pay for the wedding? And I would have been so apprehensive about coming to my parents as an adult, asking them to pay for my wedding to someone that I barely knew. I would be so apprehensive. I would have an entire business plan laid out. I would have a projector and graphics and boards, poster boards, all kinds of stuff to prove why they should invest their money in my wedding to someone that I barely know and they know even less. But she was just like, hey, you're going to pay for this wedding or what? So her dad says in his confessional that Kobe has to prove to him that he can provide for his family. How, Dad? He can't work for 90 months. How is he supposed to prove that he can provide for the family when he cannot get a job until he marries her? Because the only way for him to get his papers to work, his papers to find employment, is to first get married. So we have to get over this wedding hump before he can do anything to prove to anybody whether or not he can provide for anybody. I just don't understand this whole thing about he needs to prove that he can provide. How can he provide when he doesn't have the documentation to get a job? He cannot get a job at a McDonald's, at a gas station, at anywhere, doing anything legally that can be reported to the government without his papers. How is he supposed to prove that? So the dad says to Emily, okay, I think y'all are just trying to get married just to get married. Y'all are just, doing stuff just to do stuff. Not really about commitment and love and fidelity and all the stuff that goes into a deep, deep relationship where people have known each other for a long time and they've made the decision now to commit their lives to one another. The dad has seen none of that. He's just like, y'all are just a couple of kids playing house and y'all want me to foot the bill. And the mom steps in and says, well, I don't even really know exactly what's going on with this relationship after, that conversation that you and Kobe had. And the dad was like, what conversation? And so the mother proceeds to tell her husband, yeah, Kobe told her to shut the F up. And so the dad was like, this is unacceptable. I mean, that's just exactly what this man needed to basically disengage himself from the whole Kobe and Emily shenanigans. He was like, nah, this is just not acceptable. There's no way in hell, Emily, that you can be putting up with this. You should not be putting up with this. And Emily tries to convince her parents, look, it was just an argument. Every couple goes through this. It's no big deal. We've already talked about it. We've already handled it. Okay, that's over with. Are you going to pay for this wedding or what? So the dad sees this and the mom too, they see this as a major red flag and they're going to take anything that he does, that Kobe does, and they're going to blow it up to, gigantic proportions. He just said to her, shut the F up. Okay. Yes, it was uncalled for. It was rash. He could have chosen a better way to express himself, but this woman had pushed him to the edge of sanity. And the way that she was constantly nagging him, I would have told her the same thing, because I would have just been because he told her I got this. Don't worry about it. Get off my back. He tried to be very diplomatic. Anyways, I'm rehashing an old scene, but y'all understand where I'm coming from. So, but they're going to take this, and they took this and they ran with it. The dad took this and he ran with it. He was like, oh, okay, then this is just not acceptable. No, no, no. So, moving on from there. So now Kobe and dad, whose name is David, they're going to have a very, a very needed man-to-man discussion. And it was like so serious that the dad had to take Kobe into the basement to have this conversation with him. Like, why can't this conversation take place upstairs? But anyways, I guess it was like his man cave or something. He was like, he needs to have a serious heart to heart with Kobe. And I have no idea if Kobe had any clue with what he was getting himself into. Kobe was obviously nervous because he said, the dad is a pretty big guy and he's pretty intimidating. So he was very, very nervous. And I was nervous for him. This whole setup of going into the basement to have this conversation, I was nervous. I felt like I was right there in there with them. And so the dad asked Kobe about his employment aspirations. Like, what are you qualified to do? What do you plan on doing when you are able to work? And Kobe talked about, well, I thought about modeling. And I was like, oh God, that's not really how you want to start this off, Kobe. This man does not look like someone who would encourage or support your modeling career, your underwear modeling career. So when he said he thought about modeling, the dad's face, his face was twitching. He was just kind of like, oh, like his face was twitching. And then I guess Kobe sensed that wasn't going to go well. So he was like, but I can see that here in Salina, there really isn't any modeling opportunities here. And this is where it got funny for me. This is when the hilarity began. So then he says, yeah, I guess in Salina there isn't any modeling opportunities, but I do have a background in civil engineering. So I'm like, okay, good. Why didn't you lead with that, Kobe? Why didn't you start off with that? I have a background in civil engineering because David is an architect, has his own architectural firm, I'm assuming. He's an architect. And so I was like, okay, civil engineering, architecture, that kind of goes together. Yes, we're on the right track. So David was not going to let him off that easily. So he said, so what do you plan on doing then with the civil engineering? And then Kobe's like, well, since you're an architect, I was thinking that maybe you can train me and then one day I can take over your company. I was like, oh my God, Kobe, my dear, dear. Oh, Kobe, no, you can't talk about taking over this man's company. Even if you marry his daughter, okay? Yeah, for I think obvious reasons, which I'm not going to mention, this man has no intention of handing over his company to you. Funny. So then the dad says, okay, well, do you have a license he says from where you're from in Cameroon, were you able to obtain a license in civil engineering or do you have degrees in civil engineering? And Kobe's like, no, just what I picked up in high school. I was like, wow. Not only are we going downhill, but we're going downhill super duper fast. We're going downhill in warp speed. Oh, Kobe. So first you start off with the underwear model, not underwear modeling, with the modeling period. And you probably didn't see any model-esque features in you. Then you go into civil engineering, which, okay, we kind of took up a little, we kind of went up a little bit with that. I was like, okay, yeah, civil engineering, that's good. Then we were kind of sliding down. You talked about taking over the man's company. And then we shot down straight to hell when you said that the only thing you knew about civil engineering was what you picked up in high school. No degrees, no licenses, no certifications, not a damn thing. So the dad in his confessional says He's out of his mind if he thinks that I'm going to be handing over my business to him. He is completely out of his damn mind. That is not going to be happening. Not on my watch. Not while I'm living. Not while when I'm dead. Not now. Not ever. That will never happen. This man won't lay his little pinky finger anywhere near my damn company. What I've built from the ground up with my bare hands and my education and it what's going on in my brain, this man from Cameroon will not be anywhere near. He will never even have the thought ever again of taking over anything of mine except your daughter. So then the discussion went to money. And so the father was like, okay, so how do you plan on supporting your family? Because you have a lot of mouths to feed. I'm like, a lot of mouths? It's just him, the baby, and Emily. What are you talking about? So it's like, how do you plan on supporting your family? And Kobe goes, well, I don't know if Emily told you, but I came here with some money. Yeah, $4,000. And so the dad was like, okay, $4,000 is not a lot of money. The way Kobe said, I don't know if you know this, but I came here with $4,000. He made it seem like he came here with like 50, 100 grand or something. And the dad was like, okay, $4,000 is probably gonna, you might be able to last a couple of months. When you think about it, on average, rent is probably about 1,000 to 1,500 a month. Plus, you got to put down first and last a deposit. Plus, you got to buy furniture. Plus, you got no for Kobe, Kobe. Before you came to America, did you do any damn research on it? Look, y'all. Now I'm really getting frustrated. Okay, the same thing with your girl Eva Muhammad. Did no research on the Islamic faith, what it's like to, the expectations of being married to someone who is Islam, what Islam entails, what it means. No research at all. Comes up here playing dumb and stupid on this show about what her man is expecting her to be like. How, just plain dumb as hell about the whole entire Islamic religion. Now you got Kobe. Kobe, before you came to the United States, did you Google anything at all about life in America and what it takes to survive in America, in Kansas, in Salina, in anywhere? Did you Google anything at all? Like the average cost of rent, the average cost of a mortgage, the average salary. What am I going to be doing over there once I'm able to get my papers and I can start working? Did you do any kind of research before you hopped on that damn plane? Like, what are people expecting when they move to a whole nother country or when they get with someone from another country? What are y'all expecting? I mean, you have Google. Can you please utilize it into figuring out what your future is going to be looking like once you arrive in the United States or once you decide to get married to a Muslim man? Can y'all do just a tiny bit of research? So Kobe said that he thought that the $4,000 that he brought with him from Cameroon would help him fulfill all of his promises that he made to Emily. Which were what, Kobe? What did you promise Emily with $4,000? I mean, $4,000 is going to go just to a ring. The way Emily is talking about this damn ring, you're going to spend all your money on just a damn ring. Not even rent or food, just for a ring. So the dad tells him that, Emily has no clue on how to live independently. She's never had to worry about paying a bill, utilities, rent, mortgage, a pet deposit, buying groceries. She has no clue on any of that stuff. So it's going to be all on you, my guy, Kobe. You're going to be responsible for trying to teach this girl to become an adult because her parents sure as hell didn't do the damn job. How is it that Emily, I thought she was a teacher. I thought she said that she was teaching in China and that's how they met. He was modeling, she was teaching, and somehow their paths crossed. How is it that she was a teacher? Like, that's an actual profession. And you have no clue on how to live independently. And you're out there having babies, getting engaged, getting men, doing all this stuff, but you don't know how to take care of yourself. Like, how in the world did her parents allow her get to this point where she has a child but can barely take care of herself? Like, doesn't know anything about anything. How? Like, doesn't. So Kobe, who is unfamiliar with this culture, who can't work for I don't know how many months, because even after he gets his papers, it's not like he's going to get a job the very next day. It's going to be, especially in Salina, Kansas. I'm pretty sure, it's gonna take a while for him to try to get a job. So you have Kobe, who's not familiar with this culture, not familiar with the layout of the land. And then you have Emily, who's never lived independently, who's never had to take care of herself, who's never had to be financially responsible for anything. These people are going to combine forces and do what? And become what exactly? The powerless couple? Like, I don't understand what's happening here. And after looking at this bigger picture, if I was Emily's father, I wouldn't be paying for a damn thing. I'd be like, you know what? Go over there with Eve and Shahida and go back to that damn drawing board over there and start all over. Because this right here is not going to work out. I wouldn't be paying for anything. I wouldn't pay for no damn wedding. I wouldn't pay for no damn catering. I wouldn't be paying for anything. They would have to figure it out on their own. This is ridiculous. How is it that you let your daughter be the age that she's at? She's completely wilding out there, and she has no clue on anything financially, any type of financial responsibility whatsoever. I can give Kobe a little bit of leeway because he's not familiar with how things are done here. But Emily, no wonder they keep on putting all this pressure on Kobe. I mean, what's wrong with Emily? Why can't she get her own apartment and do her own thing? Because you have kids on Unexpected who are living by themselves and paying bills and taking care of themselves. And they're like barely out of their teenage years. Emily is like 20 something years old. How old is she? 28, almost 30, with a kid and doesn't know how to live independently apart from her parents? You've got to be kidding me. Kobe, this is what you want? This is attractive to you? This is what you want? No wonder she's so crazy and mean and awful, because she has no confidence in herself about anything. Anything at all. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I have nothing. I have no words. No words. This Kobe and Emily segment gave me so much life. The whole civil engineering thing, the whole thing about the $4,000, expecting that, because he says in Cameroon, the $4,000 could last about a year. It could take care of you very, very well, which I totally believe. Yes, it can. Yes, I do believe that. But $4,000 in the United States of America will get you probably about 2 months, maybe, if you're lucky. If you're lucky, you can live maybe 2 months on $4,000. But I don't know how you do it with a baby, with a car, insurance. I don't know how that's going to happen, especially with only one person working, because I don't think Emily's going to be working because she's got to take care of her baby. Anyway, if you made it this far in my review, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe. If you don't worry about it. But thank you for stopping by anyway. And I'll definitely talk to you later. And we're done. Thank you. Bye.